Today I'm going to show you all two different ways to make pone. Pone is a traditional dessert in Trinidad and Tobago, reflecting the island's cultural diversity and culinary heritage. It originated from indigenous cassava cultivation and evolved through African influences during the colonial period. The dessert consists of grated cassava, sweet potato, coconut, sugar, and spices baked into a pudding-like consistency. Pone holds cultural significance, often served at special occasions, and represents the island's flavors and traditions. While modern adaptations exist, the dish remains a symbol of Trinidadian cultural identity. Alright, so the first step is to break down our ground provisions. So we're going to start with the cassava. So what I did, I went ahead and break down the coconut and the pumpkin. Let me just show you the consistency we're looking for. We want it as fine as possible. Yeah, because this will help all our ground provisions bind in the oven. Yeah, so we're going to do the same with the cassava. So if you don't know, this is how cassava comes. This is how it looks unpeeled. So I just want to show you to quickly peel it. Just removing the outer layer. And you see this, all of this is to get rid of. Don't want any of that. That's why here in the Caribbean, whenever we see a large stick of cassava, we usually break it. That's why this side was broken open, so you could see the inside to give you some insight on if the cassava is good or not. Now this is what you're looking for, this color here. This is what our ancestors would have used to grate back in the day when they didn't have graters. We actually used to use the cricks tins and make these graters yourselves, where you just take from the back and you take a nail and pong it through, and then you just go around in a spiral formation, pounding all the holes through until you get your grater. So just to quickly show you how it works, just like a regular grater. And this will give it that fine consistency that you're looking for. Just pick up some and show you here. You see how nice and fine the cassava is. Broken down even small pieces. This will help to release the starch and bind all the ingredients in the oven. Yeah? So what we're gonna do, right? We have modern times here, so I'm just gonna cut up the rest of this cassava. And just to make life a lot easier, I mean, of course, you could use the fine side of a grater, or you could use your food processor. So just gonna get the cover on and turn it on high, and we're gonna break it down to a fine consistency. Always ensure to scrape down the sides to make sure you get all the pieces broken down, even size. You can continue to go, and it will actually start almost form a paste. The starch and the natural liquids in the cassava will begin to seep out and start to form a paste. But this is fine. So what I'm going to do now is just take it out of the food processor, clear up, and we're going to mix. So now that we've gotten all our ground provisions broken down, time to mix everything. So first we start with some room temperature unsalted butter. To that, we want to mix in some brown sugar. We want to get this fully incorporated before we go any further. This should just help evenly distribute the butter. Right now we're going in with our spices and essences. So key ingredient, black pepper. I mean, black pepper is what gives pone its quintessential flavor and taste. Next to that, some salt. The salt is going to help to bring everything to life. You know, I really believe that salt is a very underutilized ingredient in desserts. Nutmeg, always grate your nutmeg. Yeah, so fresh whole nutmeg, let me just grate. Ground cardamom, this will help to add a little warmth and depth to the pone, and some ground cinnamon. So we're going in with all of that, and some mixed essence. Give this a turn. So next we're going in with some evaporated milk. The milk will help to add a little sweetness, and along with the butter, give the pone its smooth, velvety texture and melt in your mouth texture that we're looking for. Right, now it's time for our pumpkin. Just get all in. So I like to mix as you add, as opposed to just adding everything in the bowl and mixing. I just find this makes life a lot easier. Next, coconut. This will add texture to the pone. Right, and lastly, our cassava. So this is why we wanted to finally grind down all our coconut, pumpkin, cassava. We want an even consistency and size. This will just help even baking throughout, allow all the ingredients to break down and bang together in the oven. Alright, so we're using a 12-inch cast iron frying pan. Now, of course, you could use a regular baking dish, anyone that you have and prefer, Pyrex, stainless steel. Right, and you want to evenly spread. Right, so we're going to set this aside and get the other pone going, and then before we put both of them in the oven. Alright, so now it's time for the sweet potato. So for those of you who don't know, this is what a sweet potato looks like. This one is the yellow version. Here in Trinidad, we get the yellow and the white, sometimes purple, but the most common ones are the yellow and the white. So what I did, I just washed it, peeled, and cut it up into smaller pieces just to make life easier for the food processor. Again, of the fine side of a grater is totally fine, but just to speed things up and make life a little easier, you could use your food processor. So just like with the cassava, we're going to break it down to small even pieces. Right, so the first difference with cassava and sweet potato is that, remember earlier I said, when the cassava breaks down, it will release its natural liquids and starches. Now, sweet potato does have starch in it, but not as much as cassava. So this will not spring as much liquid. So one thing you could do to make the cooking process or baking process shorter and make it a little simpler for you is to break this down even finer than the cassava. So we're going to go again. All right, let's check it one more time. See, that's broken down some more, but we want to get it as small as the food processor could possibly get it. Be patient to break it down, because how pone works is that the starch, or the starches in the provision is what helps to bind the pone, giving it that texture and consistency. So yeah, without breaking this down and allowing the heat to help release the natural starches and juices in the sweet potato and the cassava, you are not going to achieve that end result. So take your time, don't rush, don't feel that just grating it big and letting it bake longer gonna get you to your end goal. It's not. You have to break it down to the small and even consistency. All right, so time to assemble our sweet potato pone. So the process is pretty much the same as the cassava. The only difference is the ingredients. Yeah, so just as with the cassava, starting off unsalted room temperature butter, brown sugar, mix to combine. Again, we're making pone, so it must have black pepper, salt to elevate, bring everything to life, grated nutmeg, similar with the cassava. One addition to this one is we're going in with some Tonka bean. Why? So for the Tonka bean, and we also add in some ginger. The sweet potato is a little more complex in flavor as opposed to the cassava. The cassava is pretty much, I don't want to use the word bland, but it's more neutral when compared to the sweet potato. So for that, we want to try and balance all the flavors and make it a little more, complex with the flavor profile. Just as with the cassava, ground cardamom and some ground cinnamon. Right, and then some grated ginger. The ginger adds a little hint of spice. It complements the sweet potato well. It complements the black pepper very well. It adds another layer of flavor. Just something different to your typical desserts. Mix essence, same as with the cassava. I can't remember if I said it with the cassava, but the milk is optional. You don't necessarily have to add the milk. Alright, then we go in with our pumpkin. So again, because the sweet potato does not have as much starch as the cassava, we're using more pumpkin in this recipe. The pumpkin will help to bind the sweet potato pone. Next, some coconut. We're also using more coconut as well, again, just to help balance out the flavors of the sweet potato. Right, and lastly, our sweet potato. Alright, so as soon as you get that evenly mixed, going straight into our greased baking dish. And you want to leave a little lip on the top just to prevent any spillage. Could add a little more to this. And now let's go to the oven. So now we're going into our preheated oven. This is set at 325 degrees Fahrenheit. We're placing both frying pans in the middle. Yeah, so we're gonna bake this uncovered for at least an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes. But about halfway through, we'll check and show you guys how it's going. We just about finished with our 1 hour mark here, so you see it's going down. So we're gonna check it. We're gonna rotate, and also we're gonna show you what you should be looking for doneness. So this isn't finished, we know that, but we're just gonna take the opportunity to show you what you should be looking for and seeing at this time. All right, so as you can see, the liquid bubbling up on the sides. So one thing to note is that the cassava pone here is not as thick as the potato, as the sweet potato. So he will finish before the sweet potato, yeah? So the other thing you want to look for is the texture. You want this to be more or less firm to the touch. You wanna just press to the center here and see that. So you see, not yet finished, still soft. So if I press any hard, it will go down, but it started to bind. It's coming together well. So that's the kind of signs we're looking for. You see how you're getting a little bounce back. I'm not too sure how much the camera picking up, but you are getting a little bounce when touching it here. Now we will see a different reaction with the sweet potato here now. So you see, absolutely no bounce. Nowhere near ready. Very soft still. See how much liquid the sugar has sprung from the sweet potato, carrots, the pumpkin. Right, so he is nowhere ready. So what we're gonna do now, we're just gonna pull him out and shift and turn our cassava and do the same thing with our sweet potato pone, and they're going back in. The one key sign you want to look for this abstract to come in here is you want the pones to start to pull away from the side of the pan. That is one major sign that your pone is ready. And then the other sign is what I was showing you earlier with the spatula. When you touch it, that it's bouncing back. Yeah, so we're gonna leave this again and we will check it back in about a half an hour. It's been 2 hours. Let's check our pone now. All right, so you know what? Let me bring it on top of the stove to show you. So I already know the sweet potato pone already, so we'll just close this oven while we talk about this cassava pone. All right, so if I could just come in and bring it under the light. So signs to know when your pone is ready. So already you could see space, even though it's small spaces, you can see space between the edge of your pone and the edge of the pan. If I were to touch the pone, you see how the pone moves in the direction I wanted. That's telling me it's binded. If you come to the center here now, and you press down and it bounces back up, that's telling you it's ready. Sometimes too, if it's overbaked, you might see 1 or 2 cracks. So we definitely don't want that, no cracks, so that's a good sign. Then just generally just move around and you can see how it's bouncing back at you. That's telling you it's ready. So I'm just gonna leave this cassava pone on the counter to cool at room temperature. because it's a pie essentially, has a lot of residual heat, so it's going to continue to cook, it's going to continue to bind, it's going to continue to pull away from the edges of your pan. Yeah, and this is something you want to let cool completely before you even attempt to slice. You know, unfortunately, you see 1 or 2 videos with people cutting pone and it's gooey and melting and runny. No, 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 that's not pone. You want that quintessential gelatinous but firm texture and look of your cassava pone. Yeah, so we're gonna put into cool. Let me just pull out the sweet potatoes. Let me just pull them to the side and pull out the sweet potatoes to show you quick. Even though just by me watching it, I can tell it's not ready. Right. Just by touching it, you see how soft it is? No bunks. So again, dependent, remember we're working with natural ingredients here. So with the sweet potato, could be that the coconut, the pumpkin could have extra moisture in it because you've seen a lot of moisture around the edges. Yeah, even though it's out of the oven, look at how much moisture is still trying to escape from the pone. So with that, even though the written recipe has a guided time frame, you still have to check it and adjust accordingly. So this is why we just take any time to pull it out, touch it, show you what you should be looking for, what's a good sign. So with the cassava pone, we showed you how it should bounce back. But you see this? You see how soft this is? Nowhere near ready. Yeah, so he probably has at least a half an hour again. So we're gonna leave the cassava pone out, put the sweet potato pone back in, and let him finish bake. Time to show our sweet potato pone now. So you could see how it started to pull in from the sides. It does still have a lot of moisture, which is continuing to escape here, but that's okay, because one thing that I don't want is you don't want it to overcook and begin to crack. So because it's pulled so much from the sides and it's even starting to burn slightly on the edges here, which I love, by the way, I am going to take this out, let it cool. Again, this is a cast iron skillet, so this is going to stay hot for a while. We need to apply some patience now with both pones and let them cool completely before we slice and taste. Right, so it's time to cut our pone. So here in front of us, we'll start with the cassava pone. So before we cut it, I'll just show you, see how it's off of the sides. I mean, you could take this right out of this cast iron if you want. So just lift on its own, as the kind of signs you're looking for to tell you that it's binded. Yeah, time to slice now. Love this. The ends tend to get a little gooey and sticky, but that's my favorite part. I love it. You know, we love a corner, but no corners here. Everybody should get a nice crusty gooey end. See how the ends are saying? The ends love to stick together. Right. So look at it. See that gelatinous, gooey, glossy finish? That's what you're looking for. All right, now moving on to the sweet potato pone. So you can see at the edges here again. I don't know about you, but I love these burnt edges. So almost like a honeycomb finish. All the sugar caramelized and rose up to the edges here. Again, you see the edges are gooey, sticky. They always don't want to come apart, but that's the best part of pone. All right, let's get under this. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's what you're looking for. Again, very similar. Glossy finish, gooey, gelatinous consistency. Darker because, again, you know, the sweet potato has color as compared to the white cassava. So this one will be a little darker in color, but just as good or even probably better. All right, y'all, time to eat. So we'll start with the cassava pone. Stick in. All that sugar and spices also caramelize at the bottom too. Let's go. You got the essence, all the spices, crunch of the coconut, cassava and thing always melts in your mouth, the pumpkin melts in your mouth. It has this warm, earthy undertone, just so moorish. Again, similar caramelization at the bottom, holding together very well. It is a little more grainier than the cassava, and that's really because of the starch, the different starch levels. Cassava has a lot more starch compared to sweet potato, but that's okay, just as good. It's so good, it's crazy what you could do it with these different ground provisions. Y'all, we want to hear from you also. Y'all let us know when y'all try it. Send us pics, let us know your feedback. Also, let us know which one you prefer, cassava, sweet potato, or what a lot of people do too is they combine the two. All right, y'all. So again, as always, thank you all so much. If you found value in this, please hit the like button and subscribe if you're already unsubscribed to us. Thanks again. Bye.